Hello and welcome to a brand new season of Religion and Life. I'm your host, Ozzie. This weekend marks the beginning of the Chinese New Year, also known as the Spring Festival. All across the globe, people will be celebrating with fireworks and parades. These are sorts of things that we know about in the U.S., but we might not know that the Chinese New Year also marks the beginning of spring, and we probably don't realize some of the fascinating mythological and religious underpinnings that come along with the Spring Festival. My guest today, Dr. Xiaofei, will introduce us to the beliefs and rituals associated with this festival. Welcome, Xiaofei.
Thank you for having me.
My good friend.
Yeah.
I'm going to try something here. Gong Hai Fat Choi. Is that good? Is that a Happy New Year? I think it's in Cantonese. So,
yeah, it's not a Mandarin.
Yeah, it's a Cantonese greeting for the New Year. It's what I've learned. So, so the New Year is coming up. Before we talk about that, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been here, what you're teaching, what your interests are, and so forth.
Okay, so my name is Xiaofei Tu. So I've been here at App State since 2009. So I'm teaching in the Department of Languages, Literatures, and Cultures. So I teach Chinese language courses and East Asian courses as well.
Philosophy, Chinese philosophy as well.
Yes.
So tell us about the Chinese New Year, what its importance is in Chinese culture.
Yeah, so Chinese New Year is most important holiday in China for a long time. So according to legend, the history can trace back like thousands of years. But I guess, so we have a pretty clear record of that holiday, that festivity since probably 1,000 years. So it marks the beginning of New Year by Chinese calendar, which is a combination of solar and lunar calendar. Mm-hmm. So by Western calendar, it falls between January and February. So it's a really a time where family get together and the people are really happy. So it's beginning of a new time circle, right? So end of winter and the beginning of spring. So it's a vibration of the yang energy, right? So in the world and in people's life. Yeah.
So you say yin energy.
Yang
energy. So
yeah.
This is the kind of life force, the male energy, the light, and so forth. So
right.
We're getting, I guess that's associated with the return of spring, when things
right.
are warming up and lighting up. So I know there are a lot of people around here who hope you're right about this being the beginning of spring, because we've had a pretty cold winter. And the date varies. You said it's associated. It's a combination of solar and lunar calendar.
Yes, correct.
With the Chinese calendar, so it is ancient.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I don't know that in America we so much associate it with the honoring of deities and ancestors, but I understand that this New Year celebration is somewhat rooted in some Taoist traditions,
yes.
Maybe some Confucian traditions,
right.
About honoring deities and ancestors. Right. Can you say a little bit about that?
Okay, yeah. So I guess in Confucian tradition, it's associated with ancient sage king. And in Taoist tradition, it was also associated with Taoist deity. But I guess nowadays, China being modernized, secularized country, so I guess the religious religious significance has been gradually lost. So when we have a New Year celebration, we just think of it as a family time, as a traditional festival, we actually don't, I guess, pay much attention to the religious significance.
Well, that's interesting because I think a lot of religious traditions in America that have religious roots have also been secularized and lost some of that. So, if you were in China, and I think you alluded to this, there would be that same sort of loss of the religious underpinnings as well. It's become mostly a secular holiday.
Right.
Okay. So is there still, like if you were to go into a typical Chinese home, would there be a shrine there for ancestors, or is that kind of fallen out of custom as well?
Actually, no, I would say no. Obviously, China is a big country. Things vary, from region to region. So, in where I'm from, so I guess we don't have ancestral temples anymore, which we used to have, but nowadays we don't have them anymore. So, what we do, so for like I guess a modern form of traditional ancestral worship is just to hand pictures of passed away family member, and put some food under those pictures. That's all we do.
And that would be at the New Year, or all through at other occasions as well.
Yeah, starting from the New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. And would also, I know when I was in China, and we visited a couple of Buddhist shrines.
Right.
People would often bring food and leave it at the shrine.
Right.
Would that be a tradition that might accompany New Year's celebrations in China? That there would be food left at the shrine for a particular deity?
It could be. It could be. Again, at least from where I'm from, where our life has been pretty, I guess, I would not say free of those religious significance, but the religious significance has been significantly reduced.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I've been talking about in class for the past couple of days is the Chinese zodiac. And I think the zodiac is used to determine what year it is.
Right.
It's used to determine what year a newborn baby is born under. So there are certain characteristics associated with it. So I found the diagram of the zodiac here that we can look at. Right. And it's a little blurry here, but if you can see with this diagram there, you can pick out your birth year and determine under what zodiac sign you were born, and then there are certain personal characteristics.
Right.
All right. So I believe that this year is the year of the dragon. Is that
yeah, so that's correct.
I wore my dragon tie. Actually bought this in Guangzhou.
Very nice tie.
Yeah, it was in a little shop in southern China. So what significance does the year of the dragon have? What significance for Chinese family would the year of the dragon hold?
Okay, yeah. Dragon is, I guess the image of dragon in the West and in the East are different, right? So in the West, a dragon is a fire-spitting kind of monster,
right.
While in China, so dragon is a benevolent deity you pray to, right? So you worship and pray to. So so it is also a symbol of royal status, royal authority. So so children born in this year are considered to have a great future, right? So so that's a very very good sign.
It's an auspicious sign.
Auspicious sign.
Yeah, so I have an image of a dragon here, and I'm not really sure if this is more reminiscent of a Chinese dragon or a Western dragon, but it looks beautiful. So is this...
This is a Chinese dragon.
Okay, so this would be representational of you say supernatural being or just a royal being?
Yeah, I guess both. I guess both. And one interesting fact is if it's a royal dragon, it would have 5 toes. Well, if it's a regular dragon, it would normally have 4 toes.
Okay, I think this one has 5.
Okay.
I think it does. I'm not sure. So
Right.
we're gonna call it a royal dragon, right?
Yeah, traditionally that is the distinction.
Yeah. Is this a type of dragon you would see normally at a celebratory parade?
Yes, exactly. We have in New Year's time, we have a dragon dance and a lion dance. So
Yeah, I think the next picture I have here is maybe of a dragon dance.
yes.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be in San Francisco one year at the New Year celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, San Francisco has, I think, one of the largest concentrated Chinese communities outside of China in the world, and got to witness a beautiful dragon dance. So what's the dragon dance all about?
Yeah, it is kind of, again, I guess, a symbol of strength, energy. So, and since I guess, good part of our life. So yeah, it's just this dance put people in good spirits.
And they would have at the typical parade. Parades are a large part of some New Year celebration. You mentioned there's one in New York City. A typical Chinese New Year parade would have a dragon dance, even if it's not the year of the dragon. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's
So
correct.
it's sort of universal. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned you drew a delineation between the Western image of a dragon as a kind of fire-breathing, fearsome, malevolent force, evil, whereas in China, that imagery is not there at all. It's all positive and powerful, but associated with good fortune. So, but what I find interesting is that this dragon imagery, even if the symbolism is different, is almost universal across cultures. And I just wonder where that comes from.
Yeah.
Were there dragons in our past?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, yeah, why there's similarities among all those different cultures. But in terms of China, another thing about the dragon is it is associated with rain, so which guarantees good harvest.
Okay.
Yeah, so because that dragon is a symbol of harvest, of good fortune, of wealth.
So since the New Year festival is in actuality a spring festival,
Right.
and spring festivals are often about fertility.
Right.
So the dragon represents a good growing season, appropriate rain, a good harvest. So that there's a little bit of fertility symbolism built in as well. Right. That's very interesting. So what about the lion dance? I don't have a picture of that, but you mentioned the lion dance as part of some of these parade celebrations.
Right. So actually, this is interesting because actually there are not many lions in China. So lions in Chinese culture is kind of a more imaginary creature. So kind of like dragons. I believe it has a similar like symbolic meanings like a dragon.
Yeah, you certainly think of King of the Jungle,
Yeah.
the royalty and the strength and
Right.
the majesty of both these kind of mythological creatures. So they're more symbolic than actual, of course. Yeah. So I was doing a little reading and came across a couple of myths and stories that are sometimes associated with the New Year. And one I read about was about the monster Nian. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so I thought that was a wonderful little story. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Nian.
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry to maybe disappoint you, but the story of Nian is a new creation.
A new creation,
A new
so it does
creation.
not have ancient roots.
Yeah, so it does not have a very long historical roots. So it is invented maybe, maybe a couple hundred years ago, I guess. It's sort of like a children's book stuff. But it's a nice story to tell children, right? So when we celebrate the New Year, but the story is about this story, a relatively new story, says, in the past there was a monster called Nian, who is a human-eating monster. so at the time of New Year, so we use noises like the noise of drums and firecrackers to scare that monster away. So, but again, so like I said, it's a kind of a new story.
Yeah, I've got an image of fireworks up here. So I was going to ask you about the role of fireworks, and but the use of fireworks probably predates the story. Actually, now that I learned that the story of Nian is so new, so it's almost like the story becomes a way to explain why you're using fireworks, and drums, and that's kind of the way myth works, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, yeah, you have disappointed me a little bit, but it's still a wonderful story. Another story that I read about has to do with the kitchen god. Can you tell us what the kitchen god, or who the kitchen god is?
Yeah, that story actually has a longer tradition. I don't know if that's a right word, but it would be kind of a more authentic.
Okay,
right?
good. Well,
yeah. So each Chinese family, they worship kitchen god. So they would hand a picture of this god in their kitchen, and it is believed that this kitchen god would keep a record of each family, of what the members of family has been doing in the past year, and report back to the heavenly emperor. So we want the kitchen god to say good words about us, right? So what we do is, at the end of years, we would put some candy or syrup on the kitchen god's mouth in the picture. So
you're bribing the kitchen god.
Yeah. So yes, that's true. We're bribing him. So to make him to sweet talk.
So on part of the New Year celebration, the kitchen god ascends to heaven and gives the report.
Right.
And then, so if your family gets a good report about your behavior for the past year, that portends well for the coming year, I suppose.
Exactly. So at the end of the year, so we actually would burn the old picture of kitchen god and then put on a new one.
Does when you burn the picture, is it the flames and the smoke that takes the god to heaven, or?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay,
so,
that's neat. I don't know if I would want a picture of a god hanging in my kitchen watching everything I do, but that's a great behavior modification strategy, right? And is the kitchen god a Taoist tradition? I know there's a lot of religious syncretism in China, but there's certain Taoist-based traditions, Confucian-based traditions, and Buddhist traditions.
Yeah, so I would say it's a Taoist tradition.
Okay, all right, very interesting. I also read about the god of wealth. Is there a god associated with fortune? So does the god of wealth play a role in some of these New Year's celebrations? I'm getting kind of a theme here, that this cyclical time period allows for a new start. So is there a sense in which the god of wealth comes in to promise a a good coming year in terms of financial, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess like I said, so Chinese traditions are, I guess, different from Western religions in the sense that they are not other world oriented. So
Right.
we pay a lot of attention to this human world. So wealth is actually a great aspiration for ordinary people. So yeah, we do celebrate, the fortune god, god of wealth. So at the New Year's time. So we're hoping life will be prosperous in the new year.
Yeah. Well, in my house, when we celebrate the solar new year on January 1st, we eat certain things that like collard greens and black-eyed peas, and that's supposed to bring us good fortune and wealth during the year. So it's the same sort of notion here.
Yeah.
So the Lantern Festival, that's part of. I've got a picture of some beautiful Chinese lanterns here, and I have some in my home that look like this. Is the Lantern Festival is also part of the New Year celebration? Is that correct?
Yeah, it is an extended period of New Year celebration. It is actually it's on January 15th by Chinese calendar. So and also it marks the end of the New Year celebration. So we hang up a lot of lanterns. So, and one tradition we have is actually hang a small piece of paper with a riddle on it. So together with a lantern. So you can take one riddle, and if you solve the riddle, and you get a small reward.
Oh, so I hope the riddles aren't too hard.
Yeah.
The lanterns are beautiful. I don't know if this is a modern invention or not, but I also read somewhere that lantern festivals are associated with romance.
Yes.
A little bit like our Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's true in the traditional Confucian society. So young men and young women, they don't have much time, many chances to interact, to get together. So, and the Lantern Festival is one of the occasion you have the freedom to meet the opposite of sex and develop a romantic relationship. Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of nice, and that also fits well with the notion of this being a spring festival with fertility elements about it.
Yes.
Excellent. So there are a couple of other rituals that are my particular favorites that are associated with the New Year. I thought I'd ask you about, but one of the things that I believe Chinese families participate in is a thorough house cleaning.
Yes.
On New Year's Day.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't like it so much when I'm the one that has to do the cleaning, but it's really nice at the end. So,
right.
What's behind the house cleaning ritual?
Yeah, it's it depends on different regions. So, in where I'm from, it happens on December 23rd. Again, that's
by the
Chinese calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that day is called the Little Spring Festival. The Spring Festival is the big Spring Festival. December 23rd is small, little Spring Festival. So we start cleaning on that day. So maybe just have a very good, clean start for the new year, right? So it is both practical and also symbolic.
Yeah. I love the symbolism of sweeping away. I wish we could actually do that literally, right? Sweep away all the bad stuff from the previous year and start afresh. But that's part of the symbolism that I love with these Chinese New Year activities and rituals. So another one that has a particularly sweet space in my heart, because we participated with our daughter for many years with this, was the presentation of the red envelopes to children
Right.
on the New Year.
Right.
Tell me a little about that.
Yes, that's a time-honored tradition. That so it could be New Year's Day or the following days, for your children in the family to show respect to their elders, and the elders would put some money in a red envelope and give that envelope as New Year's present to the kids. And because in China we have extended families, very large families, it's not just your family. You need to go to relatives' houses to say congratulations to your elders, your uncles, aunties, and things like that. And they would also give you red envelopes. So that's the event, to celebrate the family ties, strengthening the family ties.
Yeah. And this emphasis on familial ties,
Right.
that comes from Confucian philosophy,
Yes.
much of it at least. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's very true. So in the past, in the kind of a traditional agricultural society, right? So it's often in the towns, the villages, so they're small, right? So, and it's often the case that everybody knows everybody in this place, and everybody is related to other people. So yeah, and we have a very close ties in the local communities.
So before we leave, I want to ask you what you and your lovely family are going to do to celebrate Chinese New Year. Your spouse, Wendy, is also a professor here at Appalachian, and you
Right.
have a daughter in college and a son in high school. So what will you do to celebrate the New Year this weekend?
Yeah, so we will go to the Alliance Church to celebrate with local community, Chinese community, and our local friends. So it will be about 30, 40 people together. We're making dumplings together and have a party. And we, of course, we will call family members back in China. So.
Do you is there one is the jiaozi, the dumpling, is that
Right.
the one traditional food that you must have at every Chinese New Year celebration, or are
Yes.
there others
Yes.
as well?
Yeah.
Is there any sort of symbolic meaning to the jiaozi, or is it just a really good dumpling? I know that.
Yeah. So it is actually a symbol of a piece of silver. Yeah. So it's a symbol of wealth and fortune.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that, but I will try to make it a point to get some jiaozi this weekend, so I can have wealth in the coming year.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to end this program by wishing you a happy New Year, I would wish for you and your family good fortune, good health, prosperity.
Right.
Anything else?
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Well, I wish you all that.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I thank you for coming on the program. It's been fascinating. I enjoy studying Chinese culture so much, and this has been very enlightening.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. Well, that's it for Religion and Life for this week. Next week, I'm going to welcome Dr. Tom Ellis to the program, and he will be talking about cults in American culture and worldwide. So I hope you'll join us next week. Until then, this is Ozzie Ostwald.